Alright, you guys, welcome to today's video where I'm going to be answering all of your small business questions. This is a very requested video and I'm finally going to do it for you guys. Brace yourselves because it's going to be a long one. And really quick, you guys, I just want to say such a huge thank you for all the love and support on my last video about me sharing my business story. I cannot thank you guys enough. Something within me just pushed me to post it and I thought to myself, if it could help at least one person, it's worth it. And oh my god, the response that I got was so amazing. I did not even expect it. So I just want to let you guys know that I will be making a follow-up video to that story all about my mindset and how I had to basically reprogram my brain to think like an entrepreneur, and I'm going to share how I did all of that with you guys in that video. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Noelle and I'm the owner of my small business NOELICREATES that I've had for about 2.5 years now. I am also a small business YouTuber and I post all things small business on my channel, including tutorials, tips, tricks, hacks, DIYs, behind the scenes, and all that good stuff. Just a couple quick things I want to disclaim before getting into this video. Okay, so first off, I think I received a good 200 to 300 questions. There is just absolutely no way that I can answer that without this video being 7 hours long. So I will be grouping the most asked questions into categories and I will be putting the table of contents with timestamps right here. Secondly, I just want to give you a heads up that there is absolutely no legal advice in this video whatsoever. So if you have any questions about becoming an LLC, tax information, all that good stuff, I just do not feel comfortable talking about it when I don't know too much about it myself. So I just feel like it's not right for me to touch on it when I truly don't know what I'm talking about. This also includes questions about registering your business with your state and things like that. I don't know all that stuff. So again, I just don't feel comfortable speaking on it. You're going to have to do your own research for that. The first category we're going to go over is about using social media to market your business. These were probably my most asked questions, so it's only right to put this at the beginning of the video. So a lot of you wanted to know if I've ever purchased any ads or recommend purchasing any ads to promote my business and increase my reach on social media. And the answer to that is no. I have never used any paid efforts to increase my reach or get more followers or likes or anything like that. So I can't tell you if it's worth the investment, but what I can say is that you can 100% grow a customer base without any paid efforts. It's all about knowing how to reach your target audience, and that brings me to my next set of most asked questions, which is all about how to reach your ideal customer. Here are just a couple out of the hundreds of questions I got about this. How to convert followers to shoppers. How to increase your reach organically. After starting, how soon can I expect orders if I post a reel every day? What are some tips to get more customers instead of just crafters? How to find a customer in your niche. How do you know you're actually keeping up with what's trending? Is it necessary to have a niche? How did you find yours? Okay, so these are all great questions with really important answers, so let's talk about it. So right off the bat, I want to make it clear, just because you have hundreds of thousands of even millions of followers, that does not equate to sales. And the same goes for views. If you have millions of views on a video, that does not mean you're going to get hundreds of thousands of orders either. It all comes down to who is watching your videos. I'll use a perfect example with my ASMR videos. Those tend to do really well for me, but just because someone is watching that video doesn't mean they're gonna buy from me. While it is a great way to display my products, someone that is watching that video can simply just like the sounds of ASMR and watching people pack orders. I have a very pink theme aesthetic, and someone watching these videos may not even like the color pink, but they just like the content. And here's another example. Maybe I posted a video that was marketed specifically to girls who love iced coffee, and that video didn't do too well. It got maybe, let's say, 4,000 to 5,000 views, right? But that brought me so much more orders than my other ASMR videos that have hundreds of thousands of views. And that right there is the difference between who your content is intended for and who's actually watching. And that is how you turn followers to customers. You have to get your video in front of the people that are going to buy your product. And I do always recommend posting a variety of content. You don't just want to constantly shove things in people's faces. It can be pretty annoying. But just know, if you have a candle business, you don't just want to be posting ASMR behind the scenes all the time. You want to be posting content that is directed towards people who love candles. Now, here's where we're going to talk about niching down, because the candle business, just like everything else, t-shirts, cups, whatever, is oversaturated. So what is going to set you apart from the crowd? What is going to make you stand out and get noticed in a world full of candles? This is where you would create a subcategory within candles to be unique and different from everyone else. For example, maybe your niche is strictly candles that resemble boba, or maybe your niche are candles that resemble food, and you solely stick to that only, and you target those customers that you know would love it, because any business can sell candles, but what makes yours special? And that's why it's important to find your niche. And honestly, I feel like I'm not a great example of this because I've had so many different products in my shop that come and go. And so I've constantly been changing different niches. And I am still trying to niche down even more, but if there's one niche or aesthetic that's here to stay permanently for my business, it's that it's pink and girly. And to follow up on the question of how to get more reach organically, this comes down to content strategy and posting with intention. If you would have asked me a year ago if posting every single day was necessary, I might have told you yes. But now I've come to learn while posting consistently is important, and I mean like maybe 4 to 5 times a week, posting every day isn't absolutely necessary, especially if you're gonna just be posting whatever content. Posting just to post doesn't make the cut anymore. Social media has changed so much, and it should be the quality of the post over the quantity of the post. So post meaningful content that people want to watch. Engagement is key into getting more reach organically. And you're probably thinking, well, what the heck, Noelle? What do I post? What do people want to watch? This is something that you're going to need to study through your analytics through trial and error. Pay attention how people respond to your posts and take note of what performs well. And I want to say that you can definitely hop on trends as long as you find a way to connect it to your business, but this doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to equate to sales. It might help you reach more people, get more views, but again, it depends on who is watching that content. I want to highlight this question in particular, and it's what are some tips to get more customers instead of just crafters? Now, this is a mistake that I made early on in my business, and I feel like it held me back from reaching the people that I truly wanted to reach. It did end up working for me in the long run because I'm now like a small business YouTuber and things like that, but you don't want to make the mistake of targeting other people that are doing what you're doing. If you're a crafter, a small business owner, things like that, be careful with this. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying not to follow other small business owners or candle makers or whatever your niche is, but just be careful because you may be attracting the wrong audience. These people are not going to buy from you. They're in the same boat as you are. And again, early on in my business, I made this mistake and I was attracting all types of small business owners by sharing my experience. And while it did work for me because I'm a small business YouTuber now, I sell things for other small businesses like UVDTF transfers, acrylic signs, and things like that. If that is not your intention, then you don't want to be attracting those types of people because they're not your customers. And if you're wondering about content creation in particular, for example, posting schedules and things like that, we're going to cover that later in the video, so make sure you stick around to the end. Let's move on to the next category, which is all about what website or what platform to use when starting a business. Before we get into what platform I use for my website, I quickly want to talk about Etsy because I get so many questions on it and if I've ever used it, if I recommend it. So here's my experience with Etsy. If you're an OG viewer, and I'm talking before I even launched my business, so if you're here from TikTok, you will know that I actually did try to start off on Etsy. I did actually create and set up an Etsy shop, and when I posted my first 2 products, my store got deactivated that same day. Apparently my listings violated Etsy's guidelines, which I'm not sure how because it wasn't anything copyrighted or trademarked, but it did. And that was the sign for me to create my own website instead of using Etsy, because just like that, in one day, my entire store was gone. Just imagine if I was already an established business on Etsy with 5-star reviews and tons of sales. I really didn't like the fact that Etsy had that much control over my business, so I decided to go a different route. I decided to create my online store using Shopify. And there are some pros and cons to this. For example, a pro with Etsy is that you actually have help when it comes to driving traffic to your site, whereas with Shopify, you are responsible for driving the traffic to your website. But Shopify has so much more to offer than Etsy, and in my opinion, the pros outweigh the cons. There is so much more control with everything, and you are your own website, not just a seller on a different platform. This means you get to create everything from scratch. You can customize pretty much everything from the look of your website to your policies, shipping prices, all that good stuff. And you even get your own domain, which for example would be NOELICREATES.com. And the thing I love about Shopify is that almost everything is available for you on there. You can purchase your domain, you can set up shipping, you can keep track of some bookkeeping, you can customize your website, you can do all of that through Shopify. And Shopify has so many other apps and extensions that you can use later on as your business grows. It is truly unmatched, and I have no regrets going with Shopify. By the way, you guys, Shopify is not sponsoring me. This is just my true opinion. I will say that everything on Shopify seems confusing at first, and that's because you are just simply new to it. And there is so much to do on there, so it can kind of be overwhelming, but I promise you it really isn't. And there are so many different helpful YouTube videos that you can watch to help set up your shop. And as far as pricing goes, they have different plans to choose from, but you would most likely be starting out with the basic plan. And if you want to pay monthly, then you're looking at about $40 a month for the basic plan. And if you want to pay yearly, you're looking about $350. And don't worry guys, if you don't want to commit right away, Shopify does offer a 3-day trial, and then they offer $1 a month for the first 3 months after that. And if you guys are interested in that Shopify trial, I will have that linked in the description of this video for you guys. Also, you guys, because Shopify has so much going on, if you guys want a dedicated video on how to like set up your store and all that stuff, let me know in the comments below and I'll make a separate video on that. So as I just covered, I did set up the website through Shopify, but there is more to it than just setting up the domain and things like that. And when it comes to the graphics and all that good stuff, there's actually so many free tools that you can use that will help with this process, and I'm going to share some of them with you now. I know how stressful it is when you're first starting a business to kind of find your branding and your aesthetic and all that good stuff. So if you kind of need some inspiration and help putting all that together, you can head over to design.com and actually use their website builder. And it's super simple to use, nothing too complicated. So all you have to do is enter your business name, hit start now, and then enter a couple keywords that revolve around your business, and it's going to prompt you with so many different templates. And if you're not ready for that step yet and you're actually still coming up with a business name, you can use their business name generator to help you pick one out. And as I mentioned, these tools are for you guys, and there's actually so many other tools that will help you so much throughout your business. For example, like a logo generator, a background remover, website generator, domain name generator, and so many other great and useful tools. So if you want to check it out, head over to design.com. Moving on to the next category, which is going to be all about how to price your items and shipping costs. So first, we'll quickly touch on how to price your items. And this is kind of a tricky answer because so many factors go into this, like the cost of materials, if you're hand making the product yourself or outsourcing, equipment that it takes to make your product, the packaging, all that stuff. So while I can't tell you exactly how to price your items or the percentage of profits that you should be aiming for, I do want to say that it's super important to calculate all your costs, even costs that you may not even think about. And I'll just give you a quick example of this. So for example, if you're a candle business, all of that material that goes into making your candle, you need to consider, as well as the jar that you're going to be placing the candle in. I don't know much about making candles, but if there's any equipment that goes into it as well and that takes up material, you need to consider that as well. Any stickers that are going to be going on your candle jar, any boxes that you're going to be packaging your candle in, all of that counts. As well as the labor, you guys, the amount of time that it takes to make these candles and the work that goes into it. A lot of the times we just account for the things that we have to buy to make this stuff, but we don't account for paying ourselves a livable wage. And if you outsource your candles and you don't make them at home, then you have to think about shipping costs that it takes to get to your warehouse, or if you're having like a third party ship out all your products, you need to account for the service fees and things like that. And again, don't neglect anything, you guys. This includes packaging, bubble wrap, poly mailers, thank you cards. That all costs money and it should be accounted into the price of your product. And when it comes to shipping, you guys, the customer always pays for shipping, whether that cost is included in the price of your product or if that's a separate cost at checkout, the customer always pays. And depending on what platform you use for your website, you can customize the shipping cost if you'd like to go by weight, or maybe you want to do a flat rate. All of that is available through Shopify, and that's what I use. So for my shop, I like to set the shipping prices according to weight because some packages are heavier than others and those will be more expensive to ship. And that's something to be mindful of, especially if you're thinking about making your shipping prices a flat rate. And here's just an example of that. So let's just say that you set your shipping to a flat rate of $5, but you get a pretty big order that's heavier than usual, and that costs $15 to ship. So you're eating that cost of $10, and that may not seem like a lot, but if that piles up, you're going to be losing a lot of money. So this is why I cannot tell you exactly how to price your products because there are so many different factors that go into it, but I can tell you what I choose to do. What I choose to do is break down the cost of what it takes to make my product from start to finish. So let's take a 16-ounce cup, for example. I start off with a blank cup that I purchase in bulk and break down the unit price for that. Then I need a cup wrap that I print in-house with my UV-DTF printer. Some material costs that go into printing a UV-DTF cup wrap are ink, varnish, and film. And for the breakdown of how much it costs to make one single cup wrap that factors into the price of this cup, I would have to experiment over a period of time and collect data and see how much supplies I use within that period of time, as well as count how many cup wraps I got out of it and then make my calculations. The cup blanks that I use now already come packaged in a box, but I used to use different cups that did not come packaged in a box, and I would have to wrap them with honeycomb wrapping paper, so that is another cost that I would consider. I then seal the box with a sticker that has cup care instructions, so that is another cost factor, and I package that with a separate box with 3 other cost factors, which is the box itself, tissue paper, and a thank you card. The last 2 factors is that I seal up that box with custom water activated tape and a shipping label. But I did get those shipping labels for completely free, and if you want to see how, I will link that video in the top right corner here. But overall, those are all the costs that go into making this one cup. So I do always price the product including the shipping materials that it takes to ship that product individually, regardless if a customer orders more products and I ship them all together. And the reason why is because I set my shipping prices according to what USPS tells me it's going to cost to ship the package. Just to clarify, I have always used USPS. I've never tried FedEx or UPS or any other shipping carriers. I've just used the postal office. And so I have different tiers of shipping prices depending on the weight of the customer's order. And really quickly, I just want to let you guys know that the base price to ship a package with tracking information is about $4.50 through USPS. So even if you're shipping something that is as light as a feather, for example, like a sticker that basically weighs nothing, it's still going to be around $4.50 give or take because it comes with tracking information. And again, that price is going to go up depending on the weight of the order. In my experience, for example, a 16-ounce cup may cost around $6 or $7 to even $8 to ship, depending on the ounces. And so that's why I have that tier system that charges different prices depending on the order weight. And essentially, the customer is simply paying for the shipping label to ship that order. Because remember, I already factored in all the different shipping material costs into the price of the product. And so this is just what I prefer to do, but maybe if you own like a sticker shop, for example, it might not be ideal to do it this way. It just depends on what you sell. And I say that because if you do own a sticker shop, for example, it might be better for you to just charge a flat rate because the weight of the orders are not going to fluctuate that much. So again, you guys, I cannot tell you what to charge for shipping. I can simply share with you the information and you have to make a calculated decision based on the needs of your business. Since we're on the topic of products, let's move on to our next category about what products you should sell when starting your business. Here are just a couple of the questions that I got regarding products. Out of all the products you make, what is your least time consuming but still makes good sales? If I want to start a Cricut small business, what tips would you give? What items to sell first? How and with which product did you start your business? How do I decide what products and designs to start with and how do I launch them? How did you figure out exactly what to sell? I'm having trouble with ideas. And how do you come up with the right kind of product that people would like? And the answer to most of these is I don't know. How the heck am I or anyone else supposed to tell you what to sell? It's going to be your business. You're the one that has to make the decisions here. But what I can tell you is this. I started off selling embroidered sweatshirts because that was something I was truly passionate about. So I picked something that I knew would make me happy and I would enjoy making and selling. And the reason for that is this. When you're starting a business, you need to put your heart and soul into this business for it to grow. If you're just gonna half-ass things and wing it and you're only in this for the money, you can just stop now because you need to take this seriously. It is a full-time job. Starting a business is very hard work, you guys, and it's a lonely road. No one is going to hold your hand through this process. So if you're already asking people what kind of things you should sell, you're off to a bad start. If you want to find the answer, go looking for it. And if you want to find the type of product that people would like, you're asking the wrong questions because what kind of people? Do you know how many people are on this earth? And what I'm saying may sound harsh, but it's meant to challenge your perspective. And to get you to understand that if you want answers, you need to go looking for them. Start researching different products that you would want to sell or that you think would do good or that you find community with. Think of a problem you have in your daily life and find a solution to it through a product. And if you're coming into this with the mindset of, oh, what product is going to make me the most money the fastest? First of all, you need to get your intention right because it is so important to have the right intentions going into this. And second, there is no get rich quick scheme, you guys. That's all a myth. So while I definitely agree that choosing the right product is important, the only one that can answer the question of which product is you. All right, moving on to the next category, which is going to be all about manufacturers. And this one's going to be pretty short. Before jumping into this, I want to disclaim something, and that is that I or anyone else don't owe you anything. I'm aware that I share a lot of information, a lot more than a lot of other small businesses. I get that. But that does not mean that you guys are entitled to any information that I don't want to give you, or any small business for that matter. I see it all the time. People will go and harass small businesses and call them gatekeepers because they don't want to share their valuable information that took them a long time to figure out. Your lack of ability to do the research is not my problem or any other small business's problem. And it's pure laziness and entitlement. And the solution is so simple. go do some research. Now, that being said, I do choose to share some things with you guys because I know what it was like at first to be super confused and not know where to start or where to find things or anything like that. So the things that I do choose to share are linked in my Amazon favorites. I have almost everything that I use there. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but people want to know the size boxes that I use. It's really crazy. Like, that's one of my most asked questions of all time. What size boxes do I use? So they're all linked in the Amazon favorites, guys. Now, what I don't choose to share is a lot of my manufacturers, and here's why. I can't even tell you the amount of money that I've lost trying out all these different manufacturers and how hard it was for me to actually find like good suppliers. It's all a game of trial and error, and it took me so much time and money to figure things out. And this is why so many other small business owners don't share this information either, because it does take so much trial, error, time, and money. And it's funny because I actually used to think the same thing that you're probably thinking about me now. You're probably thinking like, wow, what a jerk, you're a gatekeeper too. I get it. I was in your shoes. I totally understand how you feel until I did the work and I understood. I get it now. Okay, now I see why. And if you're a longtime subscriber, you will know as of now, I have never charged for anything. I've always posted free videos with tons of information for you guys to use. I've never really considered this before, but if you guys are interested and you want it, I can make a list of my manufacturers for you guys to purchase. But it's not something that I'm just willing to give away for free at this time, and that's just my personal choice. Alright, so we're on our second to last category, which is going to be content creation. Here are some of the questions I got about creating content. How to go viral? I'm sitting with low views and I try to make good content. How do you plan and make content? Do you have any scheduling apps? Can you show how you edit and upload your YouTube videos? I find this so overwhelming. How do you learn how to do a good TikTok video? How do you get good at posting? I feel like I'm bad at it. How to stay consistent with social media posts and not give up? How do you start making content? I just have no clue where to begin. I'm just starting and don't have inventory on hand yet. What type of reel should I post? Okay, so we're gonna break down creating content in sections. And those sections are going to be what content should you be creating, how to film and edit that content, and how to execute and post that content. So let's talk about it. What content should you be creating? Well, what do you sell? Who are you trying to sell that to, and what's the message that you want to send? And also, it's important to note that you don't want to just be shoving products in people's faces all the time. So a good rule of thumb to go by is about 80% engaging content, storytelling, ASMR, behind the scenes, all that type of stuff, and 20% advertising content. But again, that is all going to depend on who you're trying to reach and what you want to tell them. So the type of content you should be posting is content that is going to attract your target audience. For example, if you're a bookish business, you're going to want to be posting things all about books and target the book lovers. And you can even target specific niches within the book community. For example, maybe fantasy lovers. It just depends on who you're trying to attract, but essentially you want to build a community revolving around your niche and your business. Also, something super important to note here, you guys. If you are just starting out, or if you already have an established business and you are using your personal social media accounts to promote your business, stop what you're doing. Your page should be solely for your business and nothing personal should be on there. This also means on your business page, you should not be interacting with any other content other than what is related to your business. So if you're a book business, you should not be scrolling on TikTok watching a bunch of random crap or interacting with other random accounts that have nothing to do with your business. And it is a big deal. You should not be doing that because all these social media platforms need to categorize your account and optimize it. Because for example, if you're a book business and you spend all your time on that account scrolling through football videos and things like that, whatever content you post is going to be pushed to the wrong audience because it's going to optimize your account incorrectly. So if you've done this and you see that your videos aren't performing well or you're not getting sales, it could be that you're not reaching the right audience. And before we move on, I want to share with you guys a couple tips that really helped me when it came to creating content. What I recommend doing is coming up with a content list of ideas for the week. This is going to help you be so much less stressed for figuring out what to film and so much more organized. And something else that really helped me was for each video that I was going to make, I would make like a guideline and structure the video out prior to filming it. And you guys, this can be the difference between good and bad content. Structuring your video and planning ahead of time is so important. And the most important and vital part of any video is the first 2 seconds. That is where you need to capture the attention and keep people engaged. I know this is a small business channel, but if you guys do want to see a video on content creation, like how I film and edit my videos and things like that, please let me know in the comments down below. I know some people ask about it, but I don't know if that's something that everyone would want. Just let me know. Now let's talk about how to film film your content. And while I'm not going to show you a step-by-step tutorial in this video on how to actually set up your phone and all that to film the video, I want to give you some really important tips and hacks when you're filming your content. My first tip is to find videos like the ones you want to make and study them. And I don't mean copy every single angle and shot of the video. I mean just study and get ideas for what you want to implement into your own videos. My second tip, and this one is a huge one, lighting is so important for the quality of your video. If the quality of your video is really poor and fuzzy and the lighting is super bad, chances are people are just going to scroll away. My third tip is to definitely invest in a tripod. The stability of your video is super important also. No one wants to sit and watch a shaky video that's hard to pay attention to. This isn't a tip, but I get this question all the time, and it's if I use a microphone to film my short form ASMR videos, and the answer is no, you don't need that. You don't need a microphone to film an ASMR video. Sure, it helps, but it's not necessary. The key is to have no background noise so that every noise that you're making sounds super crisp. And when it comes to editing my videos, I use two different softwares for this. For my long form YouTube videos, I use Final Cut Pro, and for my short form videos, I use CapCut. Something that I recommend doing for a short form video, which would be an Instagram Reel, a TikTok, or a YouTube Short, is to edit the base video in CapCut first and then upload that to every other platform. You already filmed the content anyway, so it would be a waste to not post it on all platforms. Now let's talk about executing and posting the videos. I don't have a posting schedule or anything like that. I kind of just go with the flow now. But when I was first starting out, I did post every single day. I was very consistent with it. And that is the key, you guys. You have to post consistently. You can't just post a video one week, give up for 2 weeks, and then start again. You have to post consistently. And that may not look like every day, but maybe it's every other day, at least 3 or 4 times a week. You want to be posting. And if you want to be consistent with posting videos, but you have a pretty busy schedule, I recommend batch filming your content all in one day so that you have something for every day of the week or however much you're planning to post. And for those who ask how to get good at creating content, you just gotta practice. Little by little, you'll get better and you'll start to learn what works and what doesn't. And you guys, the first couple videos don't even really matter, to be honest. Like, you might hardly get any views, and don't be discouraged. That's completely normal because you're just starting out. The most important thing is to just start and don't stop. And lastly, the big question that everyone wants to know, how do you go viral? First things first, I want to say that it should not be your intention to go viral. Just as fast as a viral moment can happen, it's equally as fast for it to die down. And remember, going viral does not necessarily mean hundreds and hundreds of orders. Instead, you should focus on reaching your target audience and building community. And pay attention to what type of content performs well and follow the patterns. And sooner or later, with consistency, you will have a viral moment. Now let's move on to the last category, and that's going to be just a bunch of different random small business questions all bunched up into one, and some of my advice and tips and things like that. I've grouped this next set of questions all together because they're basically all similar and asking the same thing. So it's things like, how do you make business cards? How do you make thank you cards? How do you design your packaging? All that good stuff. So this is kind of a two-part answer because some people may be wanting to know how to design them, and some people may already have them designed and just want them cut and print at home. So I do have so many different tutorials on how to actually design them and get them print and cut right from home. And if you're a beginner when it comes to designing, not to worry, there are so many different tools to help you out nowadays. And one of those tools is an awesome design software called PIcsart. And here's some clips of those tutorials that I was mentioning earlier. And as you can see, you can make so many different things on here, like business cards, thank you cards, poly mailers, stickers, and you can even use it for editing product photos, which I do all the time, especially using the remove background tool, which is my favorite. Not to mention my other favorite tool, which is the AI Enhance, which literally crisps your photo up so much in just seconds. And believe me, I know how overwhelming it is when you're first starting out and you don't know how to make any of these things, but it really doesn't have to be that difficult, especially with all the great tools that PIcsart has to offer. So if you want to check them out, I will have them linked in the description. These next 3 questions I'm also going to bunch together because they do intertwine and they're kind of similar. What advice would you give to someone who is shy but wants to start a business? Were you afraid what other people would think? And I did want to ask, how do you deal with negative hate comments? That's tough. So to answer the first question about being shy, wanting to start a business, I was extremely introverted when I first started my business, like very introverted. I had one friend maybe, and I did move to a different city, so I hardly saw them. I never really left the house, so the only people that I talked to were basically those in my household. So I think it's safe to say that I was a pretty shy person back then. And honestly, I am so thankful to my business because it made me come out of my shell and not be so shy. And I'm not saying I'm like a mega extrovert now by any means, but it did help so much with my social anxiety, especially when talking to people. So my advice to you is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You can't do the same thing every day and expect different results. You have to get out there and try new things. And a great quote to represent this and remember is that nothing changes if nothing changes. And as far as caring what other people think, it's not necessarily that I did. When I first started my business, I didn't tell anyone about it. I wanted it to be my own little thing and just kind of stay in my own little bubble, if that makes sense. It's more of like a privacy thing. But literally almost everyone I know found my account, like, family members that I don't even talk to or like old high school friends, they all found it because on TikTok, I forgot to turn off the sync contacts. And even though I didn't have these people in my contacts anymore, they probably still had me as a contact. And so my phone number got linked to, my TikTok account, and that's how they found me. And I was aware that they were watching me because TikTok used to have this thing, maybe they still do, I don't know, but it had this option where you could see who was watching your profile. And I had that turned on at the time. So I knew that everyone had eyes on me. And to be honest with you, I didn't care what they were thinking, but I will say that it did kind of bother me that they were watching me, especially like weird family members that I don't even talk to that were just basically like stalking me to keep tabs on me. Same thing like weird old, high school friends. But it's human nature, you guys. People are curious, people stalk, it's normal. And honestly, whatever they thought about me is their problem and not mine. And it didn't stop me at all. In fact, whether they were hate watching me or watching me because they genuinely support what I do, whatever the case may be, regardless, they were helping me with the engagement and pushing my videos out. And the same goes for hate comments, you guys. Of course, at first it may be a little tough to deal with and stuff, but now I don't even think twice about it. I simply return that negative energy back to the sender and I carry on succeeding in my life while they watch. People are allowed to dislike me. They're allowed to spend their time writing me hate comments. And I'm allowed to not care because the only opinion that matters to me is my own and what I think about myself. And mind you guys, that mindset is not going to build overnight, but little by little, as long as you start disciplining yourself to not care, you will get better. Someone asked what drives you to keep pushing forward with your business even when challenges arise. And I think this is such a great question that needs to be talked about because you're in for a ride. There's going to be so many ups and downs within your business journey, and you need to be prepared for how to handle these problems when they arise. I can't tell you how many times I thought about giving up because things were just getting too hard and I didn't think I can handle it. And what really made me change my perspective was getting into the mindset of an entrepreneur. How would they handle these problems? Would they choose to give up just because something was getting tough? Or would they look at these challenges as an opportunity for growth? And so when something isn't working, you never change your goal. That stays the same. You simply change your plan and your approach. It all comes down to your ability to problem solve and persevere. Another great question that I got is, how do you budget for your business? And this is super important because you don't want to make the same mistakes that I did where I bought a bunch of stuff in bulk and they ended up just sitting on shelves and I couldn't get rid of them. So the way I budget now is completely different than when I first started because now my business is established. I have more traction and customers now, so it's completely different. But I want to talk a little bit about how I used to budget in the beginning and some things I wish I had done differently. So when you're starting out, it's so important to think logically and not emotionally. And hey, I get it. You're excited to start your business. You want to buy all the things to feel more legit. I totally understand where you're coming from. But you're going to want to pause and think for a second because I am all for investing, but you have to know the difference between investing and spending. For example, let's say you just started your business, okay? And maybe you're a month or two in, you're still getting up on your feet, you haven't been getting consistent sales, you're in the very early stages. And you decide that you need a Shopify counter, which if you're not familiar with that, it's basically just a counter that shows all the orders that you have and it's linked to your Shopify website. And it's pretty popular within the small business community and you decide that you need to have one. Do you feel like that's a wise decision and a good way to spend your budget? Are you investing or simply spending? Because an investment is supposed to bring you a return. The only thing a Shopify counter is going to bring you within this stage of your business is gratification. You just want it. It's going to make you feel good, but you don't need it. So instead of buying that Shopify counter, a better use of your budget will be to invest in some marketing materials. Because your aim in those early stages should be to build your customer base. So for example, a better use of your money might be to invest in a tripod to produce better videos and to reach more people. And I want to share with you another mistake that I made in the beginning, which was purchasing too much supplies. Of course, now I buy almost everything in bulk because you end up saving money in the long run. But again, my business is already established. I'm a couple years in. But a huge mistake that I made when I first started was buying hundreds of t-shirt transfers with designs that I didn't even know if they were going to perform well. And sure enough, they didn't. They were sitting on my shelves for years. So knowing the difference between investing and spending and how to properly budget when you're first starting a business is so essential and vital. So always ask yourself these questions before you buy anything for your business or anything for that matter. Am I investing or am I simply spending? Do I absolutely need this, and is this a good use of my budget? Moving on to the next question. How long did your small business take to reach sustainable profitability? Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to share with you my experience and what happened to me, but this is going to look different for every business, and you should take this with a grain of salt. And if you want to hear the full story, I really recommend watching my latest video, which is how I went from making $15 an hour to $15,000 a month, and I will have that linked in the top right corner. It took me 8 months to see a real return, a real profit where I could live off of my business full time. But I want to disclaim that yes, it took me 8 months to finally see a return, but that was because I went viral. Now, I'm not minimizing this accomplishment or anything like that, but I want to be realistic with you guys and say that that did truly come from me going viral. And so I did end up making about $15,000 that month that I went viral. But here's the thing, a viral moment can come super fast and die down just as fast. And this wasn't the case for me. I actually continued to grow, and it was kind of just like a complete spiral and uphill after that. But that does not happen for everyone. And what I'm trying to get at is that that is completely normal. Your business is gonna have ups and downs. And of course, I didn't continue to go viral every single day or every single month or every single whatever, but that did help my business become more sustainable because I was able to reach a bigger audience. And it did essentially kickstart my business to become my full-time job that I could live off of. But here's the thing, with a small business, your monthly income is going to look different every single month. No 2 months are the same. And the seasons also affect your income. So for example, Christmas time, huge profits you're going to see. That's the busiest time of the year for small businesses. And then January hits, all the holidays are over now, and things start to slow down, and that is completely normal. So again, I can share with you my experience. It took me about 8 months to finally be profitable and do this full time, but that doesn't look the same every single month. So it's hard to go based off of that. And something else that helped me do this completely full time was having multiple sources of income. This is something that I highly recommend and that has helped me grow my wealth so much. And it's a great backup plan and safety net for when business is slow, which again is completely normal. Here's just a couple examples of my sources of income. I obviously have my business, and then I do get paid through YouTube because I'm monetized. I also earn money from sponsorships and affiliate marketing. So all of these things combined have helped me create a sustainable backbone for financial security. Okay, so I'm gonna group these next 3 questions together. How much did you have to start the business? Where do you start? And what do you think are the 3 most important things as a new small business should do? So right off the bat, it does not matter how much I had to start my business or any other small business for that matter. It matters what you wanna do. You can start a business for under $100, and I have tons of videos talking about that. How much I had to start my business is irrelevant unless you want to start with embroidery, because I had to purchase an $800 embroidery machine to do it. But if you want to start a candle business or a sticker business, that's going to be a completely different budget. So instead of asking me how much I had to start my business, you should ask yourself what kind of business you want to do and how much that's going to cost, because it's going to be completely different. And to segue into the second question, well, where do you start? You research. You get educated and you get informed about what you're trying to learn or what you want to know. And if you don't feel like doing that, you might as well just give up now, because it takes so much time and research to start a business. You've got to do the work. There is no way around it. And so one of the 3 most important things that I recommend a small business does when first starting out is research. Another super important thing I recommend doing is creating a plan. Don't just go into this blindly. After researching, I recommend creating a checklist of all the things that you should do before starting a business. And I'd love to create one for you guys if you guys want to see that. And the third most important thing I recommend when you're starting a business is to get organized. And this is not the same as creating a business plan. I mean, get organized within your own life. You are setting yourself up for failure if you're not an organized person. If you don't follow schedules, if you're poor with time management, you are going to fail. And I'm not saying to become an expert at this overnight, but start making some daily changes and practicing better habits. I'm really excited to answer this next question for you guys, and that is, what keeps you motivated and consistent? This is going to be a 2-part answer, and I'm going to start with consistency. The number one thing that is going to keep you consistent for anything in life is going to be discipline. It is discipline that keeps us showing up every single day, even when we don't feel like it. Even though what I was doing was making me happy, there were times where I was getting no sales and no views, and I felt like giving up. There were times where I wasn't feeling it and I wanted to be lazy and just not do anything. But I force myself to get up every day and do the work because if I don't, no one else will. And it's so important to understand and accept that you yourself are responsible for the outcome. As long as you show up, you put in the work, and you don't give up, you're never gonna fail. But that all comes down to your choice to do the work every day and do the hard things even when you don't feel like doing it. Now, the second part to this answer is how I stay motivated, and that is through seeing results. Because at first there won't be any results. We are so used to instant gratification that we have no patience. So after having the discipline, after doing the hard work, and after having patience, then you start to see the results. And that right there is what keeps you motivated to keep going. There is no greater feeling than seeing all your hard work finally pay off. In fact, when it happened to me, when I had my big break and I made my first $15,000 that month when I went viral, I went even 10 times harder. And guess what? Doing the hard things didn't feel like a chore anymore. It was something that I wanted to do because I saw the results. I saw the work paying off, and it made me motivated to get up every day and keep receiving the rewards and the fruits of my labor. So I want you to understand that when you're first starting out, discipline comes first, then motivation comes second. And I promise you, if you understand this and you accept it and make your peace with it, it's going to make your experience so much easier because it's just something you have to do every day. It's kind of like brushing your teeth or going to the bathroom or drinking water. You just do it. We're going to answer one last question, and then I'll probably have to do a part 2 because I got hundreds and hundreds of questions. So the last question is going to be about, did I take a course to start my business, or do I recommend taking a course to learn from someone else? I have never purchased any courses or guides. I am 100% self-taught, and I learned everything through YouTube and TikTok. And after 2.5 years in being in business, let me share with you how I feel about taking courses or guides. While I personally feel like a course or a guide is not necessary, especially if you don't have the funds, because some of these courses could be super expensive, I don't really have a problem with them. I think they can be great. It's more about who you're buying the course from. Unfortunately, a lot of people who do courses and guides are dishonest and are mostly doing it for a cash grab. So if you do decide that you want to do a course, make sure that the person that you're taking it from is trustworthy, and also read testimonials about people who have taken the course themselves. And if you do decide to buy a course, make sure you look into the history of the person that you're buying it from. And what I mean by this is that some of these people that create the courses and guides had parents that handed down their business expertise to them. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is great leverage to have, but there's going to be a big difference in where you get your resources from compared to them. So if you're starting from zero and you don't have parents that are entrepreneurs, you're going to want to listen to someone that was in the same boat as you are, because that's going to be a completely different come up and approach than someone who had parents to guide them. All right, you guys, so I'm going to wrap it up there. I have been making and editing this video for 3 days now, pretty much nonstop. So I'm pretty tired, but I definitely will make a part 2 because there are just so many questions that I got that I wasn't able to answer. So make sure to subscribe and turn on your post notifications so you don't miss that video, as well as the next video that I'm going to make all about my mindset and how I had to change it to become an entrepreneur. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to check out my TikTok and Instagram for more content, and I will see you in the next one.